Michelle, thanks for sitting down with me today. Great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
Michelle, can I just start off by asking, can you give me a little bit of an overview of your role at ASTA?
Sure. As the Director of International Programs and Policy, I am in charge of setting our priorities around the world and developing programs to help members move seed in and out of countries.
So you are on an airplane a lot, Michelle?
Yes.
Yeah, right. And if I understand correctly, you have a role with each one of the regional and international associations. So I just want to touch on a few of them. So with ISF, obviously that's a key relationship. Can you talk a little bit about ASTA's responsibilities or tie-in with the International Seed Federation?
Sure. So we support the International Seed Federation and its efforts. We do our best and regularly have members, either staff or knowledgeable seed members of the ASTA community, serve on all of the ISF committees and working groups. So our goal there is to provide input on behalf of the U.S. industry as ISF creates policies.
Right. And they've been very active with a lot of different pieces, and I know that your team, like you say, both at the staff level and at the member level are participating. Great. Then the next piece I would ask about is the Seed Association in the Americas. Obviously, I know ASTA plays a very key role in that. Can you talk a little bit about the status, perhaps, of SAA and what ASTA's role is?
Sure. So one of the founding members of the Seed Association of the Americas, but at this point, it's its own organization, and in the last few years, I'd say that it's really strengthened as a regional association, that they have four main committees, working groups that they cover on their issues. So they have an intellectual property committee, a biotech committee, seed treatment, and phytosanitary. Again, we have staff and members involved in all of those committees, and in several cases serving as chairs or vice chairs. But I'd say in the last couple of years, the thing that's really changed is that SAA has had the ability to add SAA staff to manage each of those working groups. And so we're seeing a lot more come out of the association. And in some places, I think that SAA is beginning to be a leader. There are some topics that regionally we really have a lot of consensus, and we're able to bring that message to other parts of the world.
Which is a powerful place to be when we can have a cohesive, collaborative voice that amplifies it dramatically, doesn't it?
It does, and that consensus really helps, and then it's just not one country pushing something. And I would say North America and South America have different perceptions globally, and so refining our message and having it accepted by regulators and other parts of the sector is just really important.
I assume one of the areas that you alluded to of being a core focus would be China and the relationship with China. China has two national seed associations. Can you talk a little bit about again, maybe the role, or maybe what's next? What's the next steps as far as ASTA continuing the relationship with China?
Sure. So in 2012, the Asta signed a memorandum of understanding with the China National Seed Association. So they're the ones that are tied closer with the Ministry of Agriculture. They focus a lot more on domestic issues.
Okay.
When the World Seed Congress was in China, both associations helped a lot with the planning and were active in that. So through that experience, we're able to develop a better relationship with the China National Seed Trade Association.
Okay.
They tend to focus on importing and exporting issues, so sometimes they're a better fit. Honestly, at this point, every time we go to China, we meet with both associations, and their associations in China are changing. They, have become a lot more accountable to their members, and they're interested in what service Asta's offers to our members and how they can replicate that. So I think having both of those perspectives, the domestic focus and what the domestic seed industry wants, as well as companies more an association that represents companies more like Asta that has some international focus, has helped move forward. And this year, so to answer your question, this year in July, we had a delegation of senior government officials come to the United States to ask questions about UPOV 91 and some of its components. And in meetings, it sounds like they're moving forward with that adoption. And I think that input from both associations is continuing to help that. We continue to be a resource, but at a very large seed conference in September, maybe October, the Ministry of Agriculture announced that they're hoping to have a draft of a new PVP law that would include UPOV 91 by 2019.
Well,
so, I mean, we think that these trips and this ongoing relationship is extremely helpful, and that's the fruits of labor after 10 years of several trips a year and trying to build that relationship.
Awesome. That's a big step forward for them. Right. And then our northern neighbors, closest trading partner. Can you talk a little bit about, I know seed treatments is a big topic du jour between the two countries. Can you talk a little bit about maybe a status of where that's at?
Sure. So I'm not an expert in seed treatment.
Right.
Trying not to be, because those chemicals are hard to say.
Absolutely.
But, the American Seed Trade Association is working very closely with the Canadian Seed Trade Association and our CropLife counterparts in both countries. My understanding is that the relationship between PMRA and the EPA is supposed to be fairly aligned, and with seed treatments, they've sort of been disjointed a little bit. So we're trying to be a resource for the governments. We've felt like the data that that PMRA is using to make these decisions is incomplete. Obviously, all we can do at this point is provide them the data, and we've been working with Asta members and CSTA members to get the data on how much seed treatment is being used, how much seed it is, what seeds, what crops it is, because that does have an impact whether it's going to a greenhouse or going to a field, and hopefully that joint collaboration and that data will have an influence on as PMRA continues to review the applications.
Okay.
And back to the Seed Association of the Americas, we're seeing registrations for seed treatments coming up in Europe, in the United States, in Canada, and there's some concern that will spread to South America. And as the U.S. and Canada are filing this data and compiling it and working together on it, we are hoping that if the rest of South America needs it, or as issues come up in Europe, that we've already created those packets of data to present.
Right.
So trying to be efficient in our collaborations at this point.
Right. And proactively having it ready for when it comes.
I think that the European Seed Association is also preparing for these, but reinventing the wheel at this point. There's enough issues the seed industry faces that if we can work together on it, hopefully it'll result in being able to use the crop protection that we need.
Right, absolutely. We're here in Chicago with the CSS, and I'm curious, from what I'm told, there continues to be more and more international interest in the meeting here in Chicago. From your perspective, is that the case? Are we having more international interest, or does this remain more of a domestic dialogue?
I'd say by large part, it's mostly a domestic dialogue. The Seed Association of the Americas does have their board meeting here and a strong contingency, and they talk about the importance of this meeting. I know that I've helped with several Asian companies that are coming to attend. So there's definitely some international interest, but it's just such a key part of the domestic industry that it's hard to overshadow that.
Right, absolutely. Michelle, pleasure to see you. Thanks very much for the chat today. Appreciate it.
Thank you.